I believe that I'm here to present to you the the Lisan al Gayib. You're on mute.
Howdy, howdy.
Hold on, no, I don't know how to switch
I
back.
ruined the thing you were doing.
No, that was perfect. I just what happened was I was on mute and then I had the video playing and it was yeah, anyways. I've been streaming a lot today, more than usual, more than I
Yeah,
ever stream. It's
this is
great.
like the most content you've produced in a long time.
Is it content? Does it... No,
That's
it's
one
it
word
is
for it.
Thank you. I have two people, so there's me and one other person.
Benjinium is here. Benjinium is
Oh, rad.
or was commenting 11 minutes ago, but I bet he's still around or nearby. Boatwreck is here.
All right. We
See
got
a
a
doctor
show.
about all that streaming. There was a technological hiccup on the Text Trek stream earlier. People in the comments, Boatwreck and someone else said that it dropped out for a second. Did that happen to you? You were watching for at least a little bit. Did you have any weird issues?
At one point I was in another tab, so I did hear something that was weird and I
Oh no.
but I didn't like I don't know, it just kind of like d- I just kind of like forgot about it cuz
Mhm.
y'all started talking about I think it was around the time y'all started talking about like Austin. Maybe it was like the algorithm like coming alive. I think AI is already like it's like 2 years away from super intelligence. Not consciousness necessarily, but just super intelligence.
Oh, it's causing a lot of problems. No, when I was listening to someone talk
It's
about this
control.
recently, and he was saying how the AI is starting to inbreed itself. It's actually the AI art is starting to look at like other AI art
Oh no.
and pull from that. And then also you get problems on like on threads where it's just like algorithms are pushing things and you have just algorithmically pushed stuff and you don't have like user pushed stuff and you get kind of the software is just like looking at the software but without the users creating new things, putting new blood, new energy, new thoughts. It's just it's all going to kind of become the snake that eats its own tail. So I don't know. I feel like there could be an AI explosion or implosion within the coming years.
It's something that I think we're entering a new paradigm. Like I have a feeling this is going to be like as science fiction becoming reality. I think though it's not going to be as like dramatic as I'm probably imagining.
The thing that we need is technology that can do all of the labor and like let more people not have to
Di-
work.
okay, sorry to like, but I'm all for the idea of a 4 day work week and then like okay we're
Yes,
gonna
sir.
automate like your the rest of your jobs so you can like chill and just kind of like tell us
That's
how
some
to do
big
your
shit though.
job so we can just make the robots better.
You hear about like the 4 day work week that Bernie Sanders and the auto workers union president Sean Feen, how do you say
This
his
is our
name?
Dune portion, by the way. Like
No, people want to hear about that. I bet there's a lot of working class people in the
yes.
Starfleet Boy After Dark audience. I mean, they're talking about workers are so much more efficient now. We're able to produce so much more. We got better at making things. Just over the course of history, there's been so many innovations. When the 40-hour work week was invented in the 20th century, we produced so much less. We can be 4 times as productive now, but people don't make 4 times the money. And it all goes to all that increase. It all goes to the passive income folks. The people who own for a living. What we need to do is course correct that and make it go to the people who work for a living. And yeah, reduce the work week. Let us work less, but for more pay. We like the pay did not increase proportionally with productivity. So in fact, make that shit retroactive. We're all due some back pay. Like if you look at how workers got paid in the 1970s compared to now, like over the last 50 years, it's like yeah, like I'm all about that shit. But yeah,
My cat's totally chasing these treats. So you'll probably see. I'm turning into Brian. Shout out to Brian. All right, Arthur wants
Okay,
me on camera.
I'll shut up on labor issues now.
No, because it's
Kevin
actually
Richardson knows what's up. I see Kevin
he
Richardson.
does. I know. It's actually very relevant to Dune. That's why I threw the Dune reality thing up there because I feel like there's so many. Like I feel like Denis Villeneuve's vision of how to tell Dune as a cinema. Look at this. Look at this cat. He's like the cat in in the original series. He just wrecked the Enterprise. That's it.
Or like the cat who played Spot on
Oh
TNG.
yeah,
Because
actually that's
as
true.
Brent Spiner said, he hated working with that cat or with any of the cats that they used because that as an
No,
actor
he's
you
Arthur's
expect
a
your
sweetheart.
as an actor you expect whoever is going to be on screen with you to them to do their part, and I guess
He's a good. He's the best. Oh look what he did. He adjusted my mic and everything. He's the bestest boy.
well, good for you then. I guess he's doing his part then. Brent did not have a good time with the cats he worked with.
I think cats hadn't trained humans properly back then. Like we were still pretty stray. I feel like Brent Spiner's a stray human, but I feel like my generation's pretty well trained by the cats, and so I mean, I just do whatever he tells me to do.
Benjinium thinks that Data accidentally killed several spots. That would
No, no,
explain the. Well, either that or he has a transgender cat, which I'm
I
okay
think that's more
with either
likely.
one.
I feel like that's more likely than, than it. Oh, poor Spot.
Or
How would Data have killed a cat? Like,
maybe he had it. I mean, some people go through multiple pets throughout their life. Maybe this dipshit Data just had two cats. He both named them both Spot. And like you ask him why, he'd be like, "Oh well, I just prefer that name
oh
for
shit!
for
I
a
haven't
cat."
sent the link. Hold on, Father. Make it show. You're doing a great job. But
Okay.
talk about Dune. Your thoughts on Dune versus the book. You're the most recent to it. There's also Ruben's cousin
I
Richard,
am.
who I haven't reached out
I'm
to
seeing
personally
it
yet.
again tomorrow.
Oh, excellent. Well, give us your Dune download while I go send out invites. I'll be right back.
Okay, Dune download. Well, I will talk about Dune Part 2, I guess. There's a lot of options. I can talk about various movies, various books. There's been some Dune inspired comics, some Dune music, but Sohel wants me to talk about the new movie, I suspect. So Denis Villeneuve's, or however the hell you say his name. I always struggle with the French shit, but yeah, his Dune. So it was I really liked part one. If anyone listening to this heard us talk about part one a couple years back, I'm a massive Dune fan. I've been a big fan of the novels since I was a kid, and the 1984 film. I have many issues with it, but also a lot of respect and nostalgia. It's what got me to read the books. So Denny's adaptations are my favorite adaptation of all the of anything they've ever tried to do with it, like outside of the books. I think it is my favorite. I haven't like played every video game or board game or that, but out of the things I've experienced. But I think I loved part one, and I with part two it had things that I liked much more, but it also had a couple things that bothered me more than anything did in part one. But the way that it washed out, I still end up liking part two over part one, even though it has higher highs and lower lows, but the higher highs ultimately win out. It's also more fascinating to me. Well, I take that back. The first movie was very fascinating going in, just wondering how is Denis going to handle stuff like the Bene Gesserit voice, or showing the Baron and his suspensor technology floating around, and what kind of choices is he going to make with how what are the thumpers going to be like, stuff like that. So I was very curious, and it was
Oh my
fascinating.
gosh, can I just interrupt for a second? Have you seen
Sure.
the Thumper model? I think one of the producers of Lower Decks posted that that they purchased it. It's like a very beautiful replica of the prop, I guess.
No, I didn't
Oh
know
my
about it.
god.
The prop looks cool, so I'm
It
not
was beautiful.
surprised.
All the I'm agreeing with everything you're saying. That's why I'm not. I didn't want to interrupt, but carry on because your Dune download's great.
Well, so part one, I was really fascinated to see what Denis' take was going to be, and just to see, is it going to work? Are these actors going to play these characters? Is this filmmaker able to adapt the story? Part two, I guess I wasn't as excited going into it because, it was very exciting knowing like, oh, all of that stuff worked, and yeah, it was really good, and it's gonna probably have a great follow up. But like I kind of, kind of already know I'm gonna like it, so I wasn't quite as uh, hyped going in, but it was so fascinating observing the changes. I was not expecting there to be so many changes to the book, and it's still overall very faithful. But it's really fascinating thinking about like the creative choices that went into a lot of that. And so that got me kind of on the edge of my seat wondering like, "Oh, well, will they change this? Will they tweak this?" And I guess like the biggest change overall just comes from them really compressing the timeline. The book and like the Sci-Fi Channel miniseries and uh you know pretty much everything other than the David Lynch movie, it shows this taking like 2 or 3 years for all this shit to happen. And with this movie, with these two movies, both of them take place within 9 months. They go from Caladan to show them into paradise, Stilgar, or whatever he says at the end. Like they go, all that shit happens in 9 months, which that's kind of was like, okay, he went out in the Fremen and learned how to do all the Fremen shit and became like a great leader and all of that, like everything, all of that all happened in 9 months. It's like, okay, I can believe it. This is a bit of a stretch, but whatever. I think it just all comes from Denis was just he kind of pussied out with Aaliyah. He was kind of like, yeah, I'm not going to show a little, toddler talking like an adult. And I that was something I was kind of curious about going into. Now that I think about it, I remember that was the thing I was most excited to see.
Kirsten Dunst did it for Interview with the Vampire. Who would have been a great Alia to
I
cast?
don't know any 3-year-old actors.
What
But I don't.
about what about who plays Rock Talk?
She's too old. She's like
Oh,
13.
I know that's true, but you can't like get like how old was the girl that David Lynch cast? Do you happen to know?
Oh, I don't know. I'm not sure, but
Interesting.
I mean, I think she
She
was
looked
fine.
really young.
But
Hold on.
I was curious. What would Denis do to show that? So hey Marcelo,
Hey, how you guys doing?
we were talking about Dune,
Oh, cool. I came at the right time.
but I
Mic
don't.
check, mic check. Hold on, everyone equalize. I think Father am I loud? Is Fathery low? Who's the baseline? Who's gonna be the baseline?
I think you should be the baseline since you're the host.
Ooh la la. Okay, so okay, Marcelo sounds fine to me. Fathery speak.
Speaking,
Can you get closer to the mic?
I can move it closer to me.
Okay, go ahead. That's it. You're fine.
Okay, cool.
Thanks.
Yeah.
So, Aaliyah, right? We're talking about Aaliyah.
Right.
So yeah, I was like really curious, and I was like, how is Denis gonna do this? And so he's like, oh, he's just gonna pussy out and just not do it. But the idea that he came up with instead, I really like that. I like showing how like I'm real curious to see what he's gonna do post part two. If he's gonna do Dune Messiah, or if we're gonna call that part three, I think the next movie will be called Dune Part 3. Just to keep it going. But he's talking about wanting to adapt Messiah. He hasn't said anything after that. But I look at what he's doing with Aaliyah now. He's like, man, like you're this eager to have like Aaliyah doing like the crazy like priestess shit that she gets into Children of Dune. You're so eager to doing it. Like she ain't even born yet. You're having her do that shit in the fucking womb. So I want him to go past Messiah. Like give us Children of Dune.
Yeah, I on on the same note, going down the same path that Fathery is going down. I don't know how Denis Villeneuve is going to do Dune Messiah or bring in elements of Dune Messiah into Dune Part 3. And the reason why I say that is because the general audience that watch this movie kind of have viewed it through a through an incorrect angle. I feel, and like they're they're so excited to see what's gonna happen under Paul's reign, and I'm like, guys, you don't know what's about to happen, and if what's about to happen is gonna be awful. So I don't know how he's gonna frame these characters and make their decisions in the next film
Yeah.
be justified.
But well, they're not going to be justified. It sounds like
Yeah,
he's
yeah,
gonna.
yeah.
It sounds like he's gonna stay the course of the book and show like,
Right, right.
oh yeah, like actually having a all powerful leader is actually a
Very
terrible
bad idea.
idea. And
Right.
there's a really funny quote from Frank Herbert. If people are curious about Dune Messiah, I'm going to make a recommendation. I'm going to make a video recommendation. If anyone wants to like a really good summary presented very well of Dune Messiah, and you kind of want to get an idea of the story that Denis Villeneuve says he wants to adapt into the third Dune movie, check out Quinn's Ideas is the name of the YouTube channel. He is the best YouTube channel for Dune. If you're interested, no, from the book perspective mainly, he's a book guy, but he talks a lot about the movie. He has a lot of coverage on the everything they're doing movie wise. But he has this really great Dune Messiah video, and it opens with this wonderful quote from Frank Herbert that's kind of funny, where Frank Herbert says, President Kennedy was probably one of our most dangerous leaders because he was so charismatic and people were willing to follow him anywhere, and he got our country into Vietnam. And as comparison, Richard Nixon, on the other hand, was really great in that he taught us a valuable lesson and not to trust authority, not to trust the people in power. And he taught us that by example. And that tells you a lot about Dune Messiah if you take that framing going into it.
Hmm. The other thing that I was thinking about, how Denis is going to handle Dune Part Three. I like my journey with Dune Part Two was such an interesting journey because the first time I saw it in IMAX, and because of my disability, I had to sit right at the front, right? So even if I looked up, I couldn't see the whole screen, and I don't know what it was, but I had a really shitty experience. So I got really really upset because I saw where Denis could eventually take the story, and I got so pissed. So the first time I saw Dune Part Two, I was very disappointed. I saw it again the next night in a Dolby theater, and I was like, it was a better experience for me because I could actually see the whole screen, and I could actually sit back, and I didn't have to crank my neck all the way up. But what I got out of the second screening is Paul is Paul is supposed to be the guy that is going to bring peace to the galaxy. If you ask his followers, right? He's supposed to be the answer to everything. And I'm thinking that what if he's not the answer to everything? What if the actual person that's going to fix everything that he is going to potentially do isn't even born yet? So I'm like, huh? Possibly, maybe, I don't know.
Like something with Aaliyah.
Yeah. What if Aaliyah is the one that is going to fulfill Paul's promise after Paul does some shady things to keep it vague?
I don't think that's gonna be. I don't think it's gonna play out like that.
Okay.
But Aaliyah is going to be like, I think the way that Denis is going to present Aaliyah, I think she's going to be like hell on wheels. She's going to be like she is. She's a lot like she is a lot to contend with, and that's why I want him to get to children. I don't know. So how, what's the policy on like spoilers for like Children of Dune or like stuff from like later books or whatever? But
I should throw up a banner, but I think that we should just say spoilers in general for Dune. so so that's what I'll write.
I mean,
Possible spoilers in general for Dune.
Crossover spoilers and stuff.
okay, so possible spoilers dropping like right now, but Aaliyah is the
Yeah,
villain
I'll put a banner up.
of Children
Oh,
of Dune. Like
oh,
she turns out to be like much worse than Paul for everything. So
oh, okay, okay. Which that really tracks because she was in the wound when Jessica drank the water,
mhm.
the fucking life. And look, I love Rebecca Ferguson, but her turn from Doom Part One to Doom Part Two is so deliciously aggravating and frustrating because I'm seeing a person that believes something so much that she'll do anything to get it, and I'm like, oh, you're blinded. This is not the right thing for you to do.
And,
But again, she didn't have a choice because Stilgar didn't give her a choice.
and something else about like Aaliyah's possession of Jessica.
Uh-huh.
I really love that being if you're not gonna do like the little kid, like my preference would have been like you do like a little kid, but you find a way to make it work. And I guess like Denis didn't have anything he felt comfortable, didn't like there wasn't a CGI option, wasn't like a puppet option. I mean that sounds like a stupid idea to me
Puppet?
anyways. So
Yeah.
like I mean like what else are you gonna do? So it's like okay, like I get it.
Right.
I'd like to see someone else who could actually pull it off, do it someday. But the idea
What about
of Aaliyah possessing Jessica though, like that is such a wonderful idea for a eventual Children of Dune adaptation because in Children of Dune, Aaliyah experiences a similar possession. She's possessed by the Baron. She as her grandfather and as a reverend mother who's drank the water of life and has like unlocked all of her genetic memories, she can
Mhm.
tap into the memories of any of her ancestors and pull from like their knowledge. That's why the Bene Gesserit Reverend Mothers are such badasses. And the Baron actually her fat fuck grandfather Baron actually is able to possess her. And so Aaliyah is running around. She's like the high priestess of Muad'Dib's religion, arguably the most powerful person in the universe.
Oh my.
And she's possessed by Baron Harkonnen.
Okay. How did you feel about the changes made to Shawnee when it came to Denise changes as opposed to what Frank Herbert did? Because I personally look, I'm not a big aficionado of the Doom books. I have a general understanding of what happens because I hang around awesome people such as yourself. But reading very very little on who Shawnee is in the book as opposed to the way that Denis handled it. I like Denis' version a little bit better, but I'm biased because you know I'm a big
I
Zendaya
think
fan.
it's the best Dune has ever been presented in a motion picture format,
Right.
theatrical format, or whatever
Yeah,
in a visual
I'd agree.
format.
It's the best filmed adaptation. I would say that
Yeah,
the Sci-Fi Channel miniseries is still the
is
most
the most
book
in
accurate.
depth.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
and
the
also in
closest to
depth.
the book.
Yeah,
It's also the most low
100%.
budget.
But
Okay.
it looks great. I mean, I don't know. I think it's charming, and I love Matt Kiesler
I
as Fade.
I like it.
Yeah.
I'll say like I was talking earlier how I have a lot of respect for the '84 movie, but I also have like a lot of issues with it. I'll put the Sci-Fi Channel miniseries 10 million miles above 84 like any day of the week and twice on Sunday. I think it does deserve like a lot of respect, but going into it you got to be prepared for some low budget shit.
That's what
Mhm.
it's gonna be known as, Dune '84
uh
Yeah.
forever. Because
Marcelo,
now it
that
has to be like they can't both be called Dune.
right, no,
Just
yeah,
kidding.
it's Dune 84. Yeah.
Dune 84.
We have Dune 84, we have the mini series, and then we
Right.
have Denis
Denis,
part 1 and part 2.
Yeah.
right.
That's how we're gonna
Denis Villeneuve's Dune. Right.
I'm setting the record straight now. Like that's how we're gonna refer
Is
to
it
them.
so? Is it DVD? Denis Villeneuve News Dune?
No, you just say
Hashtag DVD.
The DVD.
Doesn't that work though?
you just
Hashtag.
say Denis Dune, or you say part 1 or part 2. And people
I'm
will
gonna
know
do
Right. Yeah.
hashtag DVD. I think he'll appreciate
Mhm.
that.
Okay, but you can do that. I'm not gonna tell you what to do. You can do your own thing. But
Yeah, but
Marcelo, I was gonna answer your question about
Shawnee.
Shawnee. Yes, uh,
Ooh.
I really like the Zendaya performance. I think that they flesh out her character. They add a lot to it. You know, like they give her things in the movie that she didn't do in the book. Like she's not a Fata Keen in the book, isn't she? She's like a what do they call the Fremen Reverend Mothers? That weird word that begins with a S. So hell, you know what I'm talking
The
about?
yeah. Oh my god.
I
I
haven't read the
can't.
books in a while.
Yeah, I can't.
But whatever. Like she's
Yeah.
like part of that. Like she's like Jessica's assistant or something.
Right.
Um,
Hmm.
but I
She
like
did
her.
some of that in the film though, right? Wasn't she attending to Jessica
No,
at
but she
some
would.
point?
She. It,
She was a
it,
Fata Keen warrior, like
Yeah, that's
taking down spice harvesters with rocket launchers and
I didn't
shit.
mind that
yeah.
though. I feel
I
like
liked that. No, I thought
yeah.
that was good. I love that one moment when she uh shoots the rocket and then she gives like this like little kid like giddy laugh. It
Yeah.
just to like remind you like yeah, these are child soldiers that you're rooting for right now.
Mhm.
I loved that, and then it makes the ending. So the ending is a lot different from the book, I guess, as far as like Chani goes. But you know, in the book, it's basically like Irulan's gonna marry Paul, and Chani's cool. Like Chani's like, yeah, I know like you don't actually have like any feelings for her or whatever, and like you and me are gonna be in love and live happily ever after and rule the universe, and you're never gonna even like sleep with that woman or give her an heir or anything, and I'm cool with it. But the movie version where Zendaya is like, oh hell no, I'm not gonna be anyone's side chick, and she rides off on a worm. I thought that made for like a better, you know,
Yeah.
cliffhanger for people are like, oh my god, what's gonna happen between the two of them? They have to make part 3, you know. So I
Yeah.
think that was a smart choice. I'm very happy with pretty much everything they did with Chani.
Mm. Yeah.
Oh, she had my
Also,
best
also,
or one of my favorite lines.
what was that?
Like something to Paul about like you know there were so many choices like made for us, you know, like the that's so key to understanding Paul's story that
Hmm.
the path that he's on, there was like so much that he was already born into this being, you know, the weird experiment of the Bene Gesserit trying to create their Kwisatz Haderach. Like and then so many choices of like his parents are going to train him to be a mentat. That's the thing in the book. I guess that's not in
Mentat.
the
Yeah.
movies, um, but he is trained to be a duke one day, and like so much of the stuff, like he was born set on this course like 80% of it was already there. So I think that's really important context for his tragic story going forward. But
Yeah, and the other thing that's really really tragic is like for the like for half of the movie, Paul is very conscious in saying that okay, this is not my path. All I want to do is be a part of the Fremen, and that's it. I don't want to be the individual that you think I am. And every step that he makes takes him one step closer to the cliff, just a little closer, just a little closer, just a little closer. And then when he goes into that cave, I'm like, oh, you stupid idiot.
and was am I wrong? But did he see a vision of Jameis from like the alt timeline where him and Jameis become friends, where he doesn't kill Jameis, and Jameis
Yes,
is
he
like
did. No,
Jameis
you're
is
not
like
wrong.
encouraging him. Jameis encourages him to drink the water of life, right?
Yeah, yeah, no, you're not wrong. That did happen.
So that is so cool. That's the creation of the movie, but that's it. The movies don't do enough with Paul's prescience. Is that I always have a hard time saying that word, but
Premonition.
Yes, correct.
you can get so much cool shit out of the prescience. You
Yeah.
could do like so much cool, just like show like different alternate versions of things playing out like 10 different ways, and then you see which way it actually unfolds. But the first movie when they played around with the stuff with Jameis, where he sees like that other vision where it's like I will show you the way. It's like oh like becomes like his mentor and his buddy. That version of Jameis from that alternate timeline was such a cool bro. That guy was such like a good pal to his buddy Paul that even though he doesn't exist in the reality that actually happened, he was still able to be like a supportive friend and help encourage him to drink the water of life. If you're
Right.
cheering for Paul to drink the water of life, I think it would have been fun if they had what if Paul had like another vision and he saw like a timeline where Duncan Idaho lived. Duncan Idaho is there with him in the cave, and Duncan Idaho is like, Paul, don't drink this. This is weird, freaky shit. Like don't fall for it.
Don't
Like
do this.
wouldn't that have been cool? What if? And that's another exciting thing now is with Dune being pushed out into the mainstream more than it ever has before. I want more. Adapt the other books, but also give us reinterpretations of this one. Like, do the first one again. I want to see like an anime Dune. I want to see like I want to see like a total Arab production of Dune. I think that would be amazing.
Okay.
Because it borrows so much from that culture and language.
Mhm.
I would want to see like a CGI animated version that
Can I
maybe.
can I get a full gay version of Dune
Why
and
not? Yeah,
then the
so,
Lisan El Gayib will come true like my my
there
vision.
can be a gay porn parody. Like that
Uh,
sounds
that-
like
yeah,
I
well,
feel
like
like
a
we need to open an
one
Austin
probably
restaurant.
exists already.
Are you guys getting an echo? Because I'm trying no headphones. Should I go back to headphones?
I'm not getting an echo. I think you're
Oh,
good.
good.
No, you're
Wow, this is
okay.
weird. Have you guys ever tried headphone free? It's so wild.
Hey, Ruben, I haven't seen you in such a long time.
Anyways,
I know my solo bro has been forever.
I
Well,
have to
Yeah,
like
man,
adjust
hi,
been
my
Ruben.
forever.
speaker volume. All
But
right,
but
there we go.
the point I was trying to make, and I'll
Hello,
shut
Steven.
up. But howdy. But
I'm sorry. I'm
I
sorry.
just
Oh,
started
go-
forgetting. You saw who started? Did you see my message about who started following me today?
Tony Todd.
Yeah, worst brother.
Uh,
We were talking about Tony Todd recently. I don't,
love
Ruben,
Tony
let
Todd.
me ask your opinion on this. Like, what's the best Tony Todd performance in anything? Because we think it might be Deep Space Nine. We think it might be
Oh man,
that episode, The Visitor.
I mean,
Um,
Deep Space Nine. He was amazing. I love his. They did a shot-for-shot remake of Night of the Living Dead, where he played the lead role, and I loved what he did in that movie. Man, he's been in so many things that I've seen. Like there was this '80s show on Fox called Werewolf, which was about werewolves, and he was in one episode of that, and I remember him in that. But yeah, I mean, the Deep Space Nine episode, and I mean, the voice of Zoom, amazing,
mhm.
Oh, I forgot about
menacing.
that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he does. I forget what's the character he does in an animated form.
Does a lot of animation, a lot of voice work.
Yeah, he does with a lot of them. Oh man, he's great, bro.
Yeah, no, my favorite Tony Todd role, besides the obvious one, Candyman. I really
Oh
like.
yeah,
He did a guest role on an early season episode of the X Files, where he plays a soldier that is dealing with post traumatic stress, and the individuals that he actually killed during Vietnam or whatever war it is keep he can physically see them, and
right. Like they're haunting
they
him.
pop up and they talk to him.
Right.
That's a really, really great role of his. And just for shits and giggles, because I know this is a lot of buzzword for Star Trek fans, but I really love him in the Prelude to Axanar. And upset about that because I don't want to
No, he's
see
good
that
in that.
guy
Yep.
air.
I mean, he's awesome as Worf's brother. Like, why? What's Worf's brother's name?
Kern.
Kern.
Kern, yeah, Kern.
Kern on the Cob.
Kern on the cob. That's amazing.
Kern on.
Yeah,
Wait,
he's
so
a-
is
They
Tony
never
Todd
brought him
is
back. He's still walking around thinking he's some other dude's son.
There's so many characters I wish they would have brought back. Like, I wish they would have brought back Audra. You know
Yes.
that girl who pretended to be a god or whatever.
See, now Terry
I don't know if
Metalis is about
Stan's
to
in the-
comment on here. Terry Metalis is about to comment and say, "Tell them to make Legacy, and I'll put all that stuff in it."
I'll tell
I
them to
hope-
make Legacy if you hire me as a staff writer.
What is going on
Metalis.
with why is there a versus out there? I sense like there's a versus. I feel like we should just have like a what would it be called, like an abundance mindset when it comes to Star Trek. Let's have it all. You can have it all.
Actually,
But I don't know if I
I
From
like
think
this
saying
point
legacy.
forward,
I
start
hate-
making every possibility of Star Trek.
I
Every
have a-
possible
Could it be
Star Trek
changed
story.
to legacies, like plural?
Legacies,
That could
plural?
be cool.
Uh,
Yeah.
I have a good idea for who might be a great showrunner for a 7 of 9 Captain of the Enterprise show if Terry Metalis is busy doing other stuff and they decide at some point they're going to make that show with someone else. But what's her name? Kirsten Beyer, who she wrote a lot of the Voyager novels, and she was involved with a lot of the stuff with Discovery and Picard, but basically like the good stuff and like the things that people liked in early Discovery and early Picard. Like she was the force who was always trying to keep things more in line with like the canon and continuity, but also was really familiar with the characters and really helped try to course correct some of the stuff with Seven of Nine. When she's friends with her author buddy David Mack, who we talked to on Text Trek recently, and
Great interview, by the way.
yeah, and he was talking about like how I had a separate conversation. Thank you Marcelo. But after the show, Dave and I spoke to Mac for a little bit more, and one of the things he said was her up and coming career in TV writing.
Really?
And how she's just like a few credits away from being that executive producer level, and
Awesome.
so I say like let her run a show. And our friend Jesse Gender has commented lately that like there's so many of the Star Trek shows have been ran by men. It'd be nice to see more women head writers. Michelle Paradise's show is ending, so that would be like another woman, has a lot of Star Trek experience, and a lot of things I think fans would like to see. Would be stuff we'd get from her. So I would nominate her for the 7 of 9 captain of the Enterprise G show.
By
Yeah,
the way,
my
the plural of legacy is legacy.
legacy.
Sigh.
Oh, okay. My pick for a future Star Trek showrunner or future creator of a Star Trek series in the new era would be, and I got this idea thanks to you, Father. But I've been wanting this guy to write an actual Star Trek show ever since I've been reading his books. Is David Mack, because I felt really
Yeah.
really bad for him after watching the interview that you guys did with him, because to me it seems like that guy always got it to me as a storyteller. It seems that he always gets like these interesting opportunities, but he can't really, like, he almost gets there, but not quite.
Well, maybe if they gave his buddy, if his buddy was the head writer on a show, I think it would be very
Easier.
likely if he showed up on the staff. So
Right.
if you want David Mack writing Star Trek, I think a Kirsten Beyer
Has to run a show.
would get us that.
Yeah, but that's just me, Yeah. No, but I think Star Trek is in a good place right now. I mean, we have some stuff coming up that looks interesting, so we'll have to see where it goes.
With Star Trek, I mean, like this year we got Discovery just weeks away. We're gonna get the final 10 episodes of Discovery, and we still don't know when Prodigy season 2 is gonna drop or how it will drop. Will they put out all 20? Will they put out 10 at a time, 5 at a time? Netflix normally releases multiple episodes in a batch, so
I would gather. I mean, I would like them, as somebody who's not gonna watch the show because Star Trek Prodigy is unfortunately on my back. But it would be nice if they would drop it like in bushels of 5 episodes instead of like dropping it all at once.
yeah.
But
I think they might do 10 and 10 because with a 20 something minute runtime, it's like 5 is not like a lot. So
yeah, it's not enough, right? Yeah.
I'm thinking that they'll do 10 within the next couple of months, and then like another 10 at like the end of the year. I'm not basing that on anything though, but I just how Netflix tends to release things in the past.
Yeah, you never know. Anything is possible with good old Netflix. Here's a question for you. Do you guys the Father, do you believe that we're going to get the Section 31 movie before the end of the year, or do you think
I
that's like
do. I think it's it looks like I'm gonna have to run shortly.
okay?
But
I'll just
I
talk to the
might
guy
be
you
around
can,
later. But they actually today was supposed to be the last day of production on Section 31. Today,
oh, cool.
March 15th. So It was shooting for 6 weeks in Toronto, so they should be done shooting. So give them a few. I think it's only a 2 hour movie, so I don't know, 4 6 months for post should be good to
Mm-hmm.
go. I think so.
Yeah.
It's very likely that we see it this year. It might be out as early as Star Trek Day in September, or maybe like sometime around Christmas. I think sometime in that window. More likely towards the end of the year. But I'm
Yeah,
gonna run. But
that'd be cool.
it was fun chatting, and I might pop back later.
Yeah, it was fun chatting with you, man.
All right, y'all be good.
Good
Bye.
catching up. So, Ruben, what were you eating down there while we were talking about our beloved discovery? Beloved to me, but not to
Some
you,
yogurt.
unfortunately. Nah. Some yogurt? What's your favorite yogurt?
I love it. My dog's ears flip backwards. My favorite
Okay.
yogurt is just plain yogurt, but then I add a little.
You
sugar-
guys
I add a
having
little sugar-free
technical
syrup to
difficulties.
it.
I don't know if I'm overlapping.
No, you're not
And I
overlapping, but
think the AC went out
you are
for
a
like
little loud though.
I'm trying to figure out where the
There you go.
The power
shoot.
went out.
We may have to postpone, but actually I can still hear you. So if you want to keep going, it's really fine. Just let me know what subject to throw up.
Yeah.
And I'll
No, we
sorry.
were I was asking Ruben about his eccentricities when he eats yogurt, and you were saying you just like plain yogurt. I'm going somewhere, guys, with this. I promise. You just like plain yogurt, but you like to put some stuff in it.
Yeah, some sugar-free syrup, or
Oh, sure.
maybe some
Okay.
granola, a little bit of granola.
Okay.
Maybe
Okay.
some fruit. But
Okay.
I mean, I
Cool.
like fruit. Don't get me wrong.
Cool. I should actually start eating a little bit more healthy because I kind of eat very very shittily. Um, but I also wanted to ask you, Ruben,
Uh-huh.
what's your opinion on actually historical dramas? Do you
Starfleet
like
so fail.
so
Sorry.
fail? Sorry, I just didn't read that right. You know, Starfleet boy. After this 3 months, we get out of here. I have something to ask you. And I don't know what you're gonna say to it, but if you say yes, it'll be really interesting if you do. What was I saying? Yes. So, what are your opinion on actually watching historical drama, historical films or TV shows? Do you like them?
You mean like Napoleon or things like that? Like
Yeah,
movies
yeah,
like
yeah. Napoleon, Lincoln, stuff like that.
that? I mean, they're okay. Like if they're made well, whatever, I'll enjoy them. But they're not really.
Mhm.
Like I find them a little weird because they always like super distort history, and just I don't like idolizing people and like
On that
giving
level,
people. Yeah, that's sort of like making a statue for someone, and like it's kind of weird, but like if it's a good movie, it's a good movie. Like I
here's
haven't
what I
seen
read.
Oppenheimer yet, but
What?
no, it's on
No,
yet. No, I haven't seen it.
never. No, that's
I
okay.
should watch it on your stream. On your
Yeah, that's
show.
okay. You should. No, well, you know what? We should watch it together.
Oppenheimer! Did
Yeah,
somebody
I know.
scream that in the movie? I hope they scream
Yeah.
that.
No.
Oppenheimer!
No, I'm kidding. But here's what I really wanted to ask you. If you were passionate about writing historical genres, as a writer yourself, how would you go about handling the person's real life and putting in little flourishes to make a person to make a person's real life events hit harder for the audience?
I think if I were like assigned, to write a script about whatever Lincoln or somebody, I mean, the first thing I would probably start doing is just diving into
Research,
books and stuff about him,
right?
just to see what I can learn. What sort of weird little character traits you can give them. Maybe you get a sense of what kind of character they are. Because everybody's some sort of character, everybody has their quirks and their stuff. So you start piecing it together. How you're gonna build the character around the reality.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm picking and
Um,
choosing where you're gonna actually use real stuff.
right.
How do I
Versus-
sound? Oh, I still hear the weird.
You sound a little boomy just a second
I
ago.
oh my god, I'm so sorry. Okay, real quick before uh I just want to say thank you for hanging in there. I'm
Yeah,
gonna
sure.
restart one more time, so I'll probably disappear from the screen.
Okay.
So
We
what
got
should
this,
I?
bro.
Yeah,
I know,
I got it.
But
You
Ruben,
got
did
it.
I miss that you became besties with Tony Todd?
Oh
Yeah,
yeah, you did.
Tony Todd started following me today on Twitter.
Wow.
Or,
Can you
or
ask him if he'll
X.
follow me? No, I'm just kidding. All right, I'll be
Oh
right back.
yeah, we've been friends for a whole day, so I'm sure I can ask him already.
Yeah. Yeah, no, okay, so my next question when it comes to, you know, your technique when it comes to handling writing scripts based on existing existing IP. Are you of the belief that it's easier to write something on a IP that already exists because you don't have to make it up? You already have the bones of something there, and your job as a storyteller is to take those bones and adapt it to a visual medium. Or do you think it's easier to just to just make up something off of the top of your head because you don't have those restrictions that you would with a book or with a real life story?
I think I mean I don't know if it's harder or easier. I think it just has different sort of challenges.
Hmm.
I was hired to write basically a board game, a tabletop game that was trying to do a Kickstarter for money to raise money for the video game version. And so I was hired to kind of write new lore, not new lore, but evolved lore from what they already had because the game had been around for a while. And I had no idea this game ever existed until I got called for this gig. So, and so I just read it. They had like maybe 40 pages of lore ish kind of stuff. I read it all, and then I wrote like a 10-page kind of cinematic that they made, which was really cool. They kind of introduced the world, something they never had before. So it was interesting. It was kind of I think that was the first time I ever worked with somebody else's stuff like that was already kind of had established stuff. Um, so it was interesting. It was like to me, storytelling is kind of like a puzzle. Like I want to get somewhere, and I want to figure out the most interesting way to get there. And so it's
Hmm.
kind of just a different kind of puzzle. You know, you have like all these pieces already given to you, and then you're like, what can I do to have fun with it? Um, Make it interesting, but stay within the
Yeah,
vibe
yeah,
of whatever
yeah,
the
yeah,
thing is. You know,
yeah,
is it
yeah, yeah,
gritty?
yeah.
Is it whatever?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's where the hard part comes in that sense, where it's like you have to understand the vibe of the thing. You know, so and that can be tough trying to nail the same. Yeah, like we were talking about earlier when we were recording the
Buffy,
show Buffy.
right?
Um, some people, Josh Whedon did that quippy humor pretty well 90% of the time, but then like other people trying to do it, it's not as good because
Hmm.
he understood it in a way that the mimickers don't understand it, you know. And
Yeah,
not that
yeah.
mimicry
So
is bad because everybody mimics, but
right,
like you know, it's just like he had a knack for it.
yeah. No, but what I think you're trying to convey, and correct me if I'm wrong, but you're saying that as writers, it's very very hard to get the tone of a piece of material that we could be writing on, or if we get hired to write on a specific show, one of the hardest things to do is to get the tone of that show. And once you have it, you got to hold on to it.
Yeah,
um
you know, because it's like writing Dune as a zany comedy
wouldn't work.
wouldn't work.
Yeah.
Or you'd have to figure out some real clever way to make it work. Which if you did, holy shit, it's amazing.
Hmm.
I bow
Hmm.
down to you.
Right.
But you know, like everything has this vibe, and it's kind of
Hmm.
ways, you know, and you can do comedy in Dune, like levity, you know, but
Hmm.
maybe not comedy, but like levity.
Right.
But it just has to be done in the vibe of that what Herbert is wanted, you know.
One more question about writing, and then I swear to God, I'm gonna stop talking about writing because anybody watching this right now is probably murdering me in the comment section.
So yeah, but
Yeah.
tonight's segment is
Yeah.
brought to you by Boat Truck.
Tonight's segment's
Writer's
writer
Room
talk.
is brought to you by Boat Truck.
No. So shit. I lost it. I had it and I lost it. Damn it. Yes. What's your favorite? What is the easiest genre for you to write? But on the other hand, what's the genre that you struggle the most with writing?
I mean, easiest for sure, probably horror, thriller
Okay.
type of stuff. That's for sure. I can poop that out any day. That just comes out of me naturally. I mean, I
Okay.
mostly only watch horror movies, so horror movie,
Right.
you know, funny enough, the 2 scripts I sold, neither one was a horror
Really?
movie.
No,
Yeah,
but no,
one
what?
was a thriller and
No.
one was
Yeah.
a action show.
Okay.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, definitely horror. You know, that kind of sci-fi I can do pretty easily. Sci-fi I just don't do a lot because when you're trying to make it as a writer, it's not easy to sell sci-fi because it tends to
It's
be
expensive.
expensive. Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, you can write, you know, the kind of time travel story where there's no real sci-fi type stuff, which is cheap, but
Yeah.
you know, if
Also,
you want to write
right.
us, if you want to write Dune or something and pitch it, it's kind of hard
Right.
unless
No,
you're
but
Zack Snyder, you know, and you
right.
pitch
No,
fucking
but
shit ass
to
rebel movie.
to move to expand on Ruben's point, it is possible to write. Thank you, Captain. Oh, Captain, my Captain. Writer's room. I like that. I love that. I'm gonna take a shot of that. Yeah. To move to Ruben's point, it is possible to use sci-fi elements in in a condensed setting, but if you don't use those sci-fi elements correctly in the condensed setting, it's just gonna look cheesy as hell. So, uh, uh, in my general rule, if you want to use sci-fi in a big setting or a small setting, make sure that you define the rules of how you're going to use the sci-fi to best fit the size of the box that you want to put your story within. Because if you can figure that out, you'll be fine. As long as as long as you put sort of like these little zip ties on your story to stay within the parameters that you design, right? Or the box. So um yeah, but enough about writers talk. Like, yeah, I just feel so bad when I'm in a public setting with Ruben because all I want to talk to him about is writing and Buffy. So so I feel really bad. But you did mention a couple weeks ago that you were randomly out of nowhere going through every single horror film that is on Peacock.
Yeah.
How is that going? Did you make it all the way through or
No, no, I finished the numbered and A section,
Okay.
and then I watched the first one in B's, but then I haven't had time to
Okay.
catch up with it. Yeah, so I finished. There were 26 movies in the numbered through A.
Mm-hmm.
There were 26 movies in total. I
Mm-hmm.
believe it was 26, 28, something like that. And most of them were pretty bad. Most of them were pretty funny. Yeah, pretty not so good. Few were pretty good. Like one BR was amazing. Which one else? There was one called The Apprentice, which was kind of cool.
That's interesting. That
Um,
sounds interesting.
yeah, it was like Spanish Inquisition days, and a preacher, a kind of an exorcist type guy, comes to investigate a supposed possession thing / murder. And
Possession thing
it's
/ murder.
yeah, it was kind of interesting, you know.
That's interesting.
It had the guy from Game of Thrones, Hodor.
Oh, hold the door. Yeah. I can
Yeah,
never.
I forget his name, but he's a DJ also.
Never, yeah.
Um, it was
Every
pretty
time
good.
I think, yeah, every time I think of Game of Thrones, I think of a couple of people. Well, the first person I think of is the Mother of Dragons, but that's because I'm such a big fan of hers.
And you're perfect.
Yeah. Ruben always throws me off my game, guys. I just like it's a miracle. I can never get I can never get through a stream with Ruben because he always throws me off my game, and it's the most interesting thing ever. But we had a question from the audience. Have you had a chance to check out Shogun? Because I've seen the first 2 episodes and I really, really like it. But I wanted to know if you
I haven't
had a
had a
chance
chance to see it, but it looks cool. I saw the trailer.
Okay.
Looks,
Yeah,
looks amazing.
yeah. I tried to sell one of my family members on the series a couple weeks back, and I said, and I was like, I was trying to think of a way to sell it to him. And funny enough, I didn't have a pitch in my head because as writers, it's basically a given that we have a million pitches in our head or a million ideas in our heads, and our next job that we have as writers is to figure out how to pitch that to somebody that has no idea what we're talking about. So I try to pitch him Shogun in a way that he would understand. He is a little on the old side, and I said it's Game of Thrones with swords and samurais. And I was like, he looked at me and he's like, really? I'm like, yeah, check it out, watch it. So
Ryan Gosling and Doctor Who. Well, I wanted to ask you something. The Exorcist Believers was depressing. Makes the end of the original seem upbeat. The end of the Exorcist Believer is an awful movie.
Yeah,
and they should just stop making Exorcist movies. It's not even making money. I don't even understand. Like, if you actually work out the math, the movie didn't make that much money. It barely made money.
But you know why they keep making Exorcist movies? Look, and I'm not listening
because it's an IP, and they could
just
barely make money off it over and over.
It's an IP, and I do agree with you that there's no reason for any exorcism. That there's no reason for any more exorcism movies, but it's the Jason Blum effect of everything, right? If you can make something really, really cheap, just throw it out there. Who cares about quality control? But that's one of my issues that I have with Jason Blum, and I have many issues with that man.
It's just like let it be, bro. Just let it be.
Yeah, just let it be. Here's an idea: come up with new horror icons.
I mean, just write a story about a girl getting possessed. That's it. Like,
just do that.
Yeah,
Yeah. Or you know what? Here's something that
would making horrify. Two more.
No. Here's something that would horrify audiences. Write a film where a scientist has a deadly accident, and his handicapped son was in the car with him, and as a result of the accident, his son becomes a paraplegic, and his father is like this uber scientist, right? He's like on Einstein level, and his father makes this molecule that when he actually gives it to his son, it makes him walk again, but actually it turns him into sort of like this Frankenstein monster kind of deal. And watch this disabled kid go from an innocent person to an absolute horror and
like,
someone
like Jekyll and Hyde, but
with a disabled person.
With a disabled person.
With a disabled person.
I feel like I've seen that somewhere before.
And the cool thing about that is that I think that Hollywood would like that, because Hollywood right now, or at least a big part of it, is about representation, right? And despite what I think about that, I think it'll be really cool to start putting disabled individuals in situations of absolute horror and torturing the audience with putting a disabled person in the most uncomfortable situation that you can possibly imagine, and then taking that disabled person and then making him into a raving lunatic or a victim of his own of his own ambition or something like that, and hire me to write it. I'll do it.
Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
I'll do it. I'll do it. And you know what? You know what? I'll even I'll even bring Ruben on to help me, you know, feed out the story if I can't really get it to where I want to get it to. I'll bring Ruben on. But
So wait,
what do you
what's
think?
going on here with Ryan Gosling and Doctor Who? You shouldn't have said anything because now there's the Streisand effect. Now I'm asking about it because I don't know anything.
I no, but Ryan Gosling and I have no idea about Ryan Gosling being in Doctor Who. What are you talking about?
Or is it two
I
separate things? Ryan Gosling, because I know he's sang at the Oscars,
He
and
did.
then Doctor Who, something else. And it's not two things. It's not Ryan Gosling and Doctor Who together.
No, it's like
It's two
separate,
separate.
right?
Okay.
It's separate. I'm not I'm
Okay.
not too sure.
I didn't watch the Oscars, so I have no idea. The only thing I know about
Yeah.
the Oscars is the dog that clapped with the fake paws. That's the only thing I saw.
Yeah, I didn't watch the Oscars this year. Um
Ryan
actually
Gosling joins the MCU.
for what? I don't know what he's talking. I don't know. I have no clue. I have no idea. Um yeah, no, I think it would be really cool to start doing horror movies with people that you don't generally see in horror movies. And if you do it like that, you can you can torture the audience and you can surprise the audience in interesting ways.
Oh, I
So,
see. Ryan Gosling and Henry Cavill have
oh,
been
thank
cast
you.
in the MCU, but not. There's no mention of who the characters are.
Oh, okay. Okay. We'll have to see where that goes and who they play eventually if they can close the deal. I mean,
Oh, you
it's not a
mentioned
mis-
it's not gonna. Sorry, go ahead. It's not gonna seem.
no, it's not a mistake to add talent. And this is coming from somebody who has already given up on the MCU. What you were saying, Ruben?
There's this horror movie I love that. I'm trying to remember the name now. Funny enough, it was in the Peacock in the parts I've seen of Peacock already. Oh yeah, I can't remember the name now. But well, it's a bunch of different people, and they're all out sort of camping around the woods kind of area. One guy who's in a wheelchair, he's staying at his cabin. I forget if he's a writer or something. But basically, a Bigfoot, a Sasquatch, starts killing people,
Oh, okay.
and he's like witness to it, and he ends up like fighting Sasquatch and stuff. Not fighting it, but like he's one of the people at the end that saves the day.
Oh, that's cool.
And the guy, the actor that plays him, is the same actor that played Deanna Troy's love interest in that episode with the negotiation,
Oh,
where the
okay,
guy's
okay,
kind of pseudo betazoid or whatever.
okay.
That actor, he plays the guy in the wheelchair.
That's cool.
Yeah,
That's
and
very
I love
cool.
that movie. It's not a great movie. It's a very B horror movie, very
Mhm.
B. But there's just
Yeah.
one scene that when the first time I watched it, I was like, "I love you forever." And
Golf clap, right?
it's basically the scene where the Sasquatch grabs the dude by his shoulders and picks him up because Sasquatch is like 8 feet tall, and it
Yeah.
picks him up and it opens its mouth and
Uh,
it bites the guy's head like down this way, like the front half. It just goes
oh, oh
and you
my
see the guy's
god.
like bloody
It,
fucking half face, and I was just like, "Wow, bro! I did not expect that shit."
he bit off half of his face.
Let me
Oh
find the
my
name of the movie.
god.
No, I was kidding.
That's so interesting.
I gotta promote the movie I'm gonna be
Yeah.
talking
You
about.
know what I've been doing lately? Um I've been actually watching a lot of films from the early part of Steven Spielberg's his career. Like I
Mhm.
just recently watched the Sugarland Express.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Um yeah, and that's really really great. And the thing that I love about that film is the way that Steven Spielberg can create tension uh by just showing you a specific uh number a specific collection of shots. Like there's nobody to me I mean, this is just my personal preference. You could think differently, but there's nobody to me. There's nobody better to me than Steven Spielberg behind the camera, because every 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 shot that he sets up in almost every movie that he does um, has a purpose, and and it tells a story within itself. And I think that that is a really really missed art when it comes to the directors of today. Um, the art of being able to tell the story through visuals, where you don't have to say anything. You know, you can just watch a succession of cuts, or you can just watch one big cut and understand what the director wants to convey to the audience by just him fiddling around with the camera and moving in a specific way. But with that being said, to save my honor, um, the writers wouldn't have anything to direct if it wasn't for us. So
The directors won't have anything to direct, right?
yes, thank you.
Speaking of Spielberg, I watched the first episode, technically the third, but the first episode of Columbo, directed by
Yeah?
Steven Spielberg.
He directed it, yeah.
Yeah, I watched it the other day. I was just curious, and I watched it. So the movie's called Abominable,
Yeah.
and it's a disabled man tries to warn others about a legendary beast roaming the California mountains.
Oh, cool. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's
That's
it's
very
a really fun bad B movie.
that's very cool.
But yeah, Spielberg's amazing. Spielberg,
Mhm.
you can see it even in this episode of Columbo, a fucking TV movie. The tracking shots and the
So
way he
good.
builds tension, like it's all so amazing.
Yeah, it's all there. The other not to make this not to make this stream Spielberg talk, but the other film that I saw that was really impressive by him is a film called Duel.
Oh
Duel,
yeah,
and it's just this guy being chased by this truck.
yeah. I watched
For
that recently on MeTV.
yeah, I actually had to get a copy of that film to other means, because I didn't I didn't I don't have MeTV and I couldn't get access to it, so I had to
It was
get
just I just happened to I barely ever watch TV, but like regular TV,
regular TV.
But I just happened to have MeTV on one night, and it started, and I was like, I haven't seen it in a long time. Let me watch it.
Yeah, let's do it. But the other the other filmmaker that I've been watching a lot that reminds me of Spielberg is I mean, he's not as good as Spielberg, but but I really like his directing style. Paul Thomas Anderson, the great example of his directing style. If you watch Boogie Nights, the scene when he introduces all the main characters in the film in the restaurant, he moves the camera through the restaurant in such a fluid motion. You meet all of the main characters in this restaurant, and all of them are in mid conversation, and it's so seamless the way he does it. It's so beautiful. It just works. I mean, as a writer, I really champion writers who are directors also. So yeah, I'm sorry I'm geeking out about camera movement and the way directors handle framing their shots and everything, but I'm struggling here a little bit.
I mean, talk about what comes out, bro.
Yeah.
His best movie is The Color Purple. Says
Spielberg, yeah. Yeah, I have to revisit the Color Purple. But my favorite Spielberg movie, and this always surprises everybody when I say this. My favorite Spielberg movie is Amistad.
Amistad.
Like Yeah, Amistad is the
Favorite
one.
movie.
Is the film that introduced Jaimin Hansu to the world, where he plays the leader of some slaves that are being transported to
Right.
from Spain to England, I believe. I think.
I can't think of what my favorite Spielberg movie is.
Yeah, but think about it for a little bit, and
I mean, you know, it was like Jurassic Park. It
yeah.
was just an amazing movie.
Mhm.
It still holds up.
Also, yeah. Also, I mean,
I guess I gotta go with the first one that comes to mind that I would say like is my favorite. I love Close Encounters of the Third Kind.
yeah,
It's such a strange movie, but I love it.
so good. It's it's really good. Also the great thing about Spielberg, but to understand this, you really have to be a student of film. Spielberg really has the ability to insert ideals of his own life
I come back to. Oh man, I
into
still hear
his.
myself like 3 times. It's weird. Uh, guys,
Yeah,
ER.
we are
I
here.
can't hand the controls over, so I'm just gonna end the show in like 10 minutes. So I'm gonna go get changed and ready for bed.
We gotta
So
talk about
let's
everything in 10 minutes.
you could talk about everything in 10 minutes. I'll just say this: I'm really excited about Doctor Who. Uh, there's a lot to talk
Okay,
about. We'll have to postpone our discussion about it.
next week.
Yeah,
I'm
and
excited too, even though I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, but if you want to, but if you're able to hand the control, set an admin function, and you want a candidate, I would be up for handling a stream of After Dark if you have technical issues in the future.
ooh, let's talk offline because that would be rad. So, well, you're pretty good and savvy at all this stuff. So I would trust you, Marcelo.
I mean, look, I don't want to force you into that, but that's something to consider.
I think he's trying to
I don't
strong on
feel
me,
for.
but
I feel the force, though. I'll tell you that.
Oh my God,
oh
I can
yeah,
feel
that
it.
sounds like
you
I
feel it,
can
I don't know.
feel
Daddy?
the force flowing through you,
Through
Marcelo.
you.
Do you feel it, Daddy?
Daddy.
It's so the best fucking laugh, bro. It's an amazing laugh.
but anyways,
What?
I'll be back. I'm gonna change.
Okay.
Oh God. You fucking
Do you feel it, Daddy? The force deep inside you. Bring me an Ewok. I want to defile him. Oh my lord.
So like the last 10 minutes is gonna be just me laughing.
Star Wars Return of the Jedi uncut.
Oh my God, pull it together, man. Okay.
Well, I mean, that's probably how the Emperor got. The Emperor was his Ray's grandfather, right? A great grandfather. So that's how he got out. That would be the prequel story I'd write. How the Emperor got his groove back. And it's all about the Emperor can't get laid. It's like a fucking buddy comedy. It was a buddy comedy with the Emperor and like a best friend that he kills at the end.
Oh my God, my son.
Come on, Tanya. You have babies for me. I have foreseen it. Get on all fours and take it from Daddy. Watch the views go up crazy style because people love hearing you laugh.
Oh God, I haven't laughed like that in like so long. Thank you. Oh yeah, but okay. Here's a new question based on that the attack of giggles I have just had. Um, do you think it's better to go into a project with a plan, with a plan, or without a plan? Because the new era of Star Trek, and this has been heavily publicized. I'm not pulling this out of thin air. The new era of Star Trek, unfortunately, wasn't that great because they didn't have a plan to begin with. They said, "Ooh, look at this new shiny thing. Let's just make a million goddamn things and not make it make sense."
I mean, let's start. I mean, if I were like, let's say, if I were like, let's do something simpler. Because Star Trek has a lot of shows and stuff. But
Okay.
I don't know. I mean, I guess it doesn't make a difference. I mean, I think in today's day and age, I think I would have, like, for instance, with Disney and Star Wars, how you don't outline 3 movies, and it doesn't have to be a hard outline where you can't adjust, but how you don't outline 3 movies from the start, or in the case of Star Trek, like I would have planned to have spin-offs, but like done it in a more cohesive
Fashion.
way where you're building out a new universe, especially with the
Mhm.
Marvel making universes and expanding storylines and stuff so popular.
Right.
Because
Mhm.
I don't feel like I remember before Discovery came out, my thought was do a show either in the same universe as TNG or what I would say was follow the fucking MMO because the MMO has a really cool storyline that's like 20 or 30 years after TNG. And I think that's
Mhm.
perfect. Like you just leave that behind and start fresh and then build from there. But
Okay.
like I don't think going without a plan is ever a good idea. Basically, is what I'll say.
Okay. All right.
I think
Okay.
outlines are good. I think like as much as
Yeah.
you can think ahead of time, the better. The more you
Outline actually, but yeah, but actually outlines. Look, I have a different um I have a different method to the way that I develop my projects, but the one things that I will agree with you, the the point of connection that I will agree with you on with outlines allow you to really flesh out your idea, and once you put it there on paper, you're like, okay, this is my first step. And as you develop the outline, you realize where all the steps are. So when you're actually writing the story, you don't fall on your face. Um, so so that's why I do understand how outlines can be helpful in developing the story and giving you a clear roadmap of saying, okay, I want to start here and I want to end here, but but with all these steps in the middle, to keep using this stairway analogy, I don't know where it came from. I can play around with my story only in this specific section because I need to end up over there. But it doesn't really matter how I get over there. But as long as I get over there, I'm good.
I mean, I think
Um,
especially if you're going to plan something big like a
like
new Star
like
Wars
a TV show.
trilogy,
Yeah.
for instance,
Yeah.
a new Star Trek show, like that's a
Hmm.
big thing that you can set up.
Right.
I think you want to plan it out. How
Hmm.
are we going to reinvent, you know? And again, you're not going to think of everything, and some things are going to evolve and and be determined by budgets and whatever and time and yada yada.
Hmm.
But the more you can think of, the better. Instead of just going like "fuck it," we just make it up as we go along, because then it
Right.
just turns into chaos, and then nothing means anything because
Hmm.
it's hard to have a kind of running theme of something if it's all just being kind of haphazardly put together
Right.
with whatever seems to fit next.
Hmm. Yeah.
That's sort of what you do in a first draft. In my, what I'd say, I think.
Yeah. Vomit draft.
You just throw things together as you go. And that sort of makes sense, and it might work. And you read it, and it's like, yeah. But like when you go, that means it's the first draft, and now you keep going, and you sit there and you refine and tweak and pull and move and do
Mhm.
all that stuff.
How many drafts are you comfortable writing before you go, okay, I'm kind of losing it a little bit here? Like, what would you say with that? Would you say it depends on the project that you're working on?
I don't know because I don't know how most people number drafts because I don't really because in a sense I don't do a lot of drafts because of the way I personally number them. It has to be a major change to the script for me to call it a new draft, you know?
Okay.
So I have sort of like, like software like 1.2, 1.1.
Right.
So depending on the change, just like when you see software that's like 1.2, 0.3, each number is like a slightly less important thing. Not
Okay.
important, but less impactful of a change. It's not a whole new version like the first number, yeah, and so forth, so on and so forth. So I kind of do
Right.
it that way. So I don't know. I don't know how many drafts I really go through.
Yeah,
Um,
my draft limit is 4 drafts. Like if I can't get it in 4 drafts, I tend to kind of wave up the white flag unless I have another idea, and that's usually where I go over to something else and start doing something else until inspiration hits, and then I go back to that thing that I couldn't uh, uh, get in 4 drafts if I feel the need to. Um, but while I have you here, I can't believe I'm just thinking about this now. How would you handle How would you handle Scream 7? What would you do for that?
First, I do want one last thing on the drafting. I'll say, in
Sure.
contractually speaking, in my contracts, I put in that I do up to 3 distinct drafts because if not, they can have you there fucking doing drafts for the rest of your life and driving you insane. So I put a maximum so that I might do that. Say
Okay, yeah.
if I don't get it by then for you, this
You're
is
not
for
gonna
like
get
a
it.
client. If I don't get it by then, I don't know what to tell you, bro. Hire someone else, put and written by me and someone else. I'm fine with that. Because it happens. Like it's not like
Yeah.
every writer can write everything all the time. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
Um,
No, I mean just look at Marvel projects. You know, Marvel projects for writers in Marvel are treated like pieces of sausage going through a sausage factory.
well, I
Um,
mean, those movies are made by in a very bizarre. I mean, there's
way, right?
reshoots and yeah, there's all sorts of fucking
Hmm.
shit that goes on and so
Right.
many. I mean, those movies, the size of those movies, there's so many voices that it's very easy for like with writing an IP, like we were talking about before. You might get a writer that gets it and writes another great thing, but then the next writer's like thinks he gets it, but not really, and then kind of messes with the vibe and goes to
Hmm.
hell.
Hmm. But I'm so happy that you said, when you make an agreement with somebody, or if you make a deal to write something for a studio, I'm so happy that you put a cap on the number of drafts that you do, because a lot of writers are so happy to be in the position that they're in, but they forget to put that in in the contract, and then they get run ragged.
And I mean, and that was something I learned from doing graphic design because I did a little graphic design, nothing on the scale that Starfleet Boy does, or
Hmm.
Starfleet's or Hell, excuse me.
Right.
But because man, people can drive you crazy asking for changes, and you can be there forever.
Hmm.
And in a lot of cases, you don't get paid until something's done, and
Right.
nothing's technically ever done, especially when it's something creative, because you
Hmm.
can technically always tweak it, always do it another way, always do it slightly different, slightly totally
Right.
different.
Right.
So I put 3 drafts. If it's like significant changes, like changing, like just tweaking some dialogue or something like that, I would consider that like a draft.
Mm. Would you consider another draft taking your initial concept and then taking it down a completely different direction, but kind of ending up in the same place, but getting there in a completely different way? Yeah, you would say
Yeah,
that.
I would probably
Yeah.
mark that as a.
Yeah.
The last time I can remember, I wrote a TV pilot project, which, funny enough, is one of the ones that I just sold.
Right.
Which that was the one I sold is was what I would say was draft 4.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
where it was distinct. Like one version had like nanobots, and then the next version didn't have the nanobots, and something else. And it was the same characters, but just kind of things changed around, but significantly different.
Okay, that's interesting.
Different theme, maybe or whatever.
Hmm. Yeah, no, but back to Scream for just a second. What would be your I can't
Oh,
believe I
it's
just
just
thought of this now.
Scream.
Yeah.
What would I do with Scream 7?
Yeah, what would you do with it?
And assuming now I have Nev Campbell.
Yes, assuming now that you have the goddess Neb. Neb.
Man,
My
I
screen
don't
queen, by the
know.
way, sorry.
Like, I don't know. I don't know what I would do with Scream at this point. I've always wanted to see. I think it would be interesting to try to do. I think I mentioned it to you before once, where they do two killers who aren't working together. They have no idea that the other one's going to start killing. They just both
Oh, okay.
happen to start killing on the anniversary of Sydney Prescott or whatever since she's back. And it's
Mhm.
two different people killing at the same time. So it really messes with the whodunit nature of,
Formula, right?
yeah. Because then you can really fuck, because then there can be a killing when people are in places where you're like, no, how could it be? And like, well, they're not working together. They just happen to be both killing at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
Because I really like the cold open of Shit Part 6. I like the twist on that. That was kind of interesting.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um, but I'd like to see that. I think that would be an interesting kind of different thing that we haven't seen before.
Also, I know this is not the most popular thing to say, but one of my favorite Scream movies of all time is Scream 4. I love the character of Jill, and I love her whole reason for killing all those people that she did with Charlie, and the fact that she wants to be uber famous. She wants to inhabit um she wants to get the fame that she felt that she was entitled, because all her life she heard about the
Yeah.
legend
She was
of
jealous
of
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 Sydney.
Sidney Prescott.
Um, I love that line when in the hospital
Yeah,
when she's like, "Oh,
yeah.
now it's gonna end in the hospital. That's just ridiculous." Something like that.
That's ridiculous.
It's so funny. Uh,
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know. I mean, I personally too. I know this might be a hot take, but I
Yeah.
don't know. I personally wouldn't bring back Nev Campbell. I know the whole issue with Jenna Ortega and Barrera,
Yeah.
Melissa Barrera. I know
Melissa
the whole
Barrera.
issue with
Yeah.
that. Whatever. I have my
Mhm.
feelings about that, but I don't want to get into it. Whatever happens, I wouldn't
Mhm.
bring back Nev Campbell. I feel like it's kind
So,
of like just a lame attempt.
excuse
Like,
to
just, yeah,
rehabilitate the franchise.
because I am a little bit tired of everything being connected to her, and
Didn't have.
I mean, and I also understand that the killers. I don't know. It'd be interesting if the next one sort of redefined the franchise in the way the first one defined the franchise,
Hmm.
and they go like no meta.
Huh.
I don't know. I don't know. It's this thing off the top of my head. I haven't
That's
really thought about
interesting.
this until right now, so it's just something different because
Mm.
although Scream franchise hasn't like gone down in quality like most horror franchises, they get ridiculous by this point.
Mhm.
It has kind of plateaued. Or like it started off up here. Fucking Scream One is brilliant, and two's pretty good. I like two. I'm a big fan of two. Two has its issues, but two's pretty good. Three, okay, maybe we're pushing it, but then four, oh, all right, and five, all right, and six, all right. But now it's like, are we just gonna keep doing? All right, all right.
Yeah, all right, all right.
It's just
Yeah,
like
no,
crazy, bro. I don't know.
yeah. I mean,
I guess it makes money though, the way
yeah,
it
yeah.
goes. So.
Look, yeah, look. For me personally, for one is god level to me, and I really, really enjoy 2. I have learned to appreciate 3. I love 4. I hate 5. I I hate that movie with every fiber of my being so much.
Wow.
You know, I know we've had this discussion before. You don't remember what I
Yeah, I
actually
think I
said.
remember you not liking it.
Yeah. But we've had this discussion about why I hate 5 with the fire of 1,000 suns. Um
I mean,
but
5 is probably my least favorite, but
yeah, but and uh yeah, so
the Scream
and
franchise is weird because I could just watch any of them. I love them
yeah,
all.
that's right. Yeah. Yeah. Also in that, on that same note, I have really taken to heart what you said about the Scream franchise in recent years, and you just said it. Scream is my favorite horror franchise of all time, but I don't watch it nearly as much as you do. I watch it a couple times a year. Um, but I think as I've gotten older, I have softened up on that rule, so to speak, and I'm making my way through it right now. As a matter of fact, um, last night I just finished uh, Scream 2, which I just said I loved.
I love Scream.
And tonight, once we get off the stream here, I'm gonna go do some stuff and
Masturbate.
continue this.
Excuse me. I'm a
Always
cop
with the
deal.
singers. I love it. Um, I'm so immature. God damn it. God damn it. I never could get hired anywhere. What the but it's the joy of life, guys. If you can't laugh at stupid shit, then get out of my face. Um, what was I saying? Yeah. So after I go do whatever it is I'm going to do, I'm gonna watch Scream 3,
I
and
love it.
then bring in the day with Scream 4. But that's my general plan for that. I would actually,
I,
yeah,
I love when
I,
Gail Weathers punches Parker Posey.
yeah.
And she's
Well,
like, my lawyer like
like
that.
that.
Parker Posey is, I don't ever really say this that much, but she's one of my favorite actresses of all time. Like, I've loved
Yeah.
her
What?
because I grew up during the 90s indie scene,
Right.
and she was the indie queen. She was in all these weird fucking indie movies, and then she kept doing these weird indie movies even when she became big. And I was like, she's so cool.
Hmm.
And she's hilarious. She fucking cracks me up in that movie.
Yeah.
And then the ending when Sydney and what's the actor's name?
What?
The villain
Scott
at the end.
Foley.
Scott Foley. They're like, "Fuck you! No, fuck
Fuck
you! No,
you!
fuck you!" And they just fucking scream, fighting like so stupid. The
Yeah.
movie doesn't even make sense at one point. Like, what
No.
the fuck is going
But
on?
yeah. But also, I love the two scenes when Sydney is sitting in Kincaid's office, and she gets the call from uh, um, Scott Foley,
Mhm.
and she opens up the drawer, and she sees, I believe she sees the gun. She takes the gun out, and then the next scene you see is Sydney arriving at the house. But when she arrives at the pool, there's a wand on the just
Right?
there,
Yeah. He tells her
and
to check herself with
yeah
the.
she
Yeah.
she gets a call, and Sydney says, what? And uh, uh, I forget what his fucking name is in the movie. What's his name? Roland. Yeah,
Roland.
Roland. Thank you. She goes, what? And Roland just says, and Roland just says, you see that wand in the bottom? Just pick it up and wand yourself. And he goes, everywhere. And then Sydney takes the goddamn gun that she has to her ankle, and she just goes, fuck, throws it in the pool. There is something about that sequence that is just so pathetic to me, because Sydney has fucking had it with this guy. She's like, she's like at her wit's end, and I just love it when Sidney Prescott gets to that point of, you know what, I'm gonna find this fucker and I'm gonna end him.
That movie's so good. It's so funny.
so good. Also,
I
you
think they
mentioned
should have gone with the version where the actress
for,
is helping
for
him.
right. Also, you mentioned Parker Posey. Her death scene when she's stuck behind some hidden closets is so it's so great because she's fucking, you know, banging on the glass, but you know,
Yeah,
Dewey and Gail can hear, but they don't know where it's coming from, and it's just so um au- uh, of well executed, so to speak. I actually would do a screen movie based around Christmas. I would love to see Ghostface kill some people in the dead of winter in the middle of the snow. And actually, I would actually bring back Jill and have the killer in this specific Scream movie, like if I'm doing Scream 7, be obsessed with Jill and start have him start chasing Jill and killing people that are in Jill's universe, right? So that way the killer becomes the hunted, right? And then I know this is a little bit out there because I don't know how I would rationalize a Sydney forgiving Jill for what she did to her in Scream 5, but then I would have Sydney teaming up with Jill to find the fucker that's messing with Jill and causing all the problems. Which is
wait, but wasn't Jill Emma Roberts?
yeah, it's Emma Roberts. Yeah,
Doesn't she die in part 5 or 6?
yeah, no, but
I mean, part 4?
no, actually, she gets
She's dead at the
electrocuted,
end, though.
but she no, but she's alive. I think, yeah, she's alive because
I'm
because at
pretty
the
sure she's
end,
fucking dead at the end. She's like, gets the
mm,
shocker shit to her brain, bro.
yeah,
And then
but
she's
you know,
laying
but
there when they're like, Jill Roberts, an American hero, and she's just like staring out into dead
yeah, she's probably she's probably
dead,
fried her,
bro.
she probably fried her,
She's
yeah,
donezo.
but yeah, but look,
I mean, you can still have
I,
the obsession with Jill, but
yeah, I love Jill, so any way to bring back Jill, um, uh, I'm all up for. The other thing that I would do, and I know this guy got a television, dropped on his head.
Stu Marker.
I would bring back Stu.
Well, there's always
Eh,
been like some fan theories, I
Fanfic.
guess, or something that he's still
Yeah,
alive.
yeah. But I believe that Kevin said rather
And I mean,
recently.
technically, you're not wrong. Like, no one's ever really dead if you don't want them to
Yeah,
be dead. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying?
yeah.
So,
Yeah. Also, bringing back Stu Macher would be really interesting because I would really like to hear what he thinks about all these killers who have tormented Sidney Prescott for what he and Billy Loomis started all these years
right,
ago.
the cult of
Like
Stu.
right there, right there, the cult of Stu.
Yeah, bro. He's like
Yeah,
a
but
fucking
I.
crazy cult leader
Mhm,
in prison. He's like started his own like religion in prison.
mhm. But how like I mean, we did talk about this a little bit in my stream that we had a little earlier today, where we're talking about Buffy. Go over to Balloon Head Productions to check out that video. That video will come out in a couple weeks.
Prophecy
How?
Girl, the final episode of Buffy.
Yes, thank you, Prophecy Girl.
Season 1.
Prophecy Girl is awesome, guys. So awesome. So good. Going into Scream 7 now with Nev back, regardless of how you feel about that, because we covered that already. How do you feel about Kevin being handed the keys to the car and basically driving the movie? Because, like, I hear a lot of people online being so excited that Kevin is directing, and I'm like, wait a minute, guys, hold up. he's directing. He's not writing. I would feel really comfortable if Spyglass said, "Okay, Kev, not only are we going to give you the keys to the car to drive the thing, but we're gonna let you pump gas into the car." And and by pumping gas in the car, I'm saying I would feel 100% more positive. I would feel 100% more secure about this whole thing if Kevin was writing and directing, but he's not. He's not doing that. The writers who are writing this thing wrote Scream 5 and Scream 6 better. Yeah, yeah, I don't.
I mean, I've never seen anything he's directed, so I can't. He's only done that one movie, you said, right?
Yeah, do me do me this kindness. Once you check out Teaching Mrs. Tingle, you got to get back to me and tell me what you think about that, because I cannot, like, I love Kevin, but the fact is he's only directed one movie, and yeah, I don't.
And so he's not going to write and have anything much to do with the script. What? It's going to be those guys who wrote 5 and 6. You said?
Yeah, that's what it looks like on the surface. But I would bet your bottom dollar that even though he's not going to be a credited writer on the script, he might do a pass on it. And if he does a pass on it and we find out about it, I'll feel better. But again, I don't like those writers. So if I was Spyglass and if I knew I was going to bring back Sydney and I knew I was going to give Kevin the offer to direct, before I would give him that, I would get on my knees and pray to God that he would agree to write and direct.
Rewrite Star Wars saga.
Yeah. Ruben, you want to give it a shot?
What, the whole Star Wars saga, like from the beginning?
Okay. Here's
or the sequel trilogy from Disney.
No, do me a favor. Rewrite the sequel trilogy for Disney.
I mean, I actually did it a few years ago. I rewrote.
I know you did.
Let's see if I can remember what it was. Well, the way I'd done it was, Luke was like a teacher now at the Jedi Council. I don't know if I have the file saved. Off the top of my head, it's been years. Luke was the head of the Jedi Council, but since he was the one reforming the Jedi, Luke was never really like formally trained. So he has self-doubt about whether he can truly
do the job.
When he started building the Jedi back up, he wasn't sure if he could do the job. So one of the things he came up with was one of the final tasks of the new Jedi to become a knight is you have to go out and find a thing from the Star Wars lore called the holocron, which is like an object that holds like one lesson from a Jedi master in it.
Right.
And so basically you have to go find the holocron and then bring it back to the Jedi temple, the new temple. And saying good night, folks.
All right. Okay. Well,
Sorry,
look,
Disney, you don't get to hear my idea.
Yeah. Well, I like where you were going with that. So if the captain in the control room can hear me, I would just like to thank you for listening to this very strange edition of After Dark, and we promise you that when we come back next week, it'll be more of what you've come to expect and love from us. But thank you for tuning in to us for this long. And before we say goodbye, Ruben, if they want to get in touch with you and talk to you about whatever, where can they do that?
At R Martian on Twitter.
That's awesome. And if you guys want to chat with me about anything at all, you can also get in touch with me. I'm at CreekFanatic88. So thank you all for watching and have a good night, everybody.